We're going to solve this word problem using the 5-step strategy for solving word problems. Here you see that our first step is to familiarize yourself with the problem. Write down what you know, write down what you want to know, and assign a variable. For the unknown, write down formulas, definitions, and equations that you will need. For this problem, we need to find two unknown integers, and they are consecutive and even. They both need to be in terms of one unknown variable, though. So, our first unknown variable will be x, and this is going to be the first integer. Let's say hypothetically that x is equal to 8. The next consecutive even number to 8 is 10. So that means that x plus 2, for example 8 plus 2 equals 10, could be our second unknown integer. Now we only have one unknown variable, and we can solve for two unknown integers. For this type of word problem, the rest of the given information actually creates our equation. So it says such that 2 times the first integer plus 3 times the second integer is 76. So with these words, we can translate into a math equation. So we've successfully familiarized ourselves with the problem, and we're actually going to move right into translating, and so therefore we're going to be writing a math equation from the rest of the given information. So to do that, we're going to use the underlined words and just write an equation. So we have 2 times the first integer. So 2 times, and our first integer is x, and it says plus 3 times the second integer, and our second integer is x plus 2, and this all together is 76. Now we have successfully translated the word problem into a math sentence that we can solve. So we can go ahead and check off step number 2 and move right along to solve for the unknown variable, which is step number 3. To solve for the unknown variable, we need to get x alone, so we're solving this equation for x. Our first step when doing this is to distribute the 3 because we have parentheses, and anytime you have parentheses, you should distribute. So that means we're going to rewrite this as 2x because there's nothing that changes about the first term, and then we're going to go ahead and in parentheses put 3 times because this 3 is being multiplied by each term inside of the parentheses, and then we're going to separate the terms inside the parentheses. So x is going to go over here and 2 is going to go over here, and all of this still equals 76. Now we can simplify and get rid of those parentheses. So we have 2x plus 3x plus 3 times 2, which is 6, equals 76. Once we've removed the parentheses by distributing, we're going to move on to combining like terms. 2x and 3x are like terms on the same side of the equal sign, so we're going to combine those to get 5x, and then we're just going to bring down the plus 6 equals 76. In this step, we can't combine the 6 and the 76 because they're on different sides of the equal sign. Now we're going to move on to the third step of solving for an unknown variable. Here I like to add a line down the equal sign to remind me to balance my equation. So anything I do to this side, I must also do to this side and vice versa. In this step, we want to get all of the variables onto one side of the equation and all of the constants onto the other side of the equation. As you can see, 5x is the only variable and it is already on the left-hand side, so we're going to go ahead and move the constant plus 6 onto the right-hand side of the equation. To do this, we use the law of opposites and subtract 6 from both sides. 6 minus 6 equals 0, so these two cancel out. And we're left with just the 5x on the left. On the right, we're going to do 76 minus 6, which equals 70. Now we've successfully got all of the variables on the left and the constants on the right, so we can move on to our last step, which is the law of reciprocals. Using the law of reciprocals, it says that we should multiply both sides by the reciprocal of 5 so that we can get x alone. Multiplying both sides by the reciprocal is the same as dividing both sides by 5. 5 divided by 5 equals 1, so we're left with just a single x. 70 divided by 5 is 14. So we've successfully solved for the unknown variable, but remember we had two unknown integers, x equals 14, which is what we just solved for, and we also have our second integer, x plus 2, which means 14 plus 2 equals 16. Now that we have our first and second integer, we can plug these numbers back in to the equation to check our answer. So again, x equals 14, x plus 2 equals 16, and we're going to plug these values into our equation to see if we get 76. So I'm going to do 2 times 14 plus 3 times 16 equals 76. 2 times 14 is 28. 3 times 16 is 48 equals 76. And if we add these two numbers together, 28 plus 48 does in fact equal 76. So we have successfully checked our answer, and it does make sense. Finally, we can move on to the final step, which is to state your answer clearly.